Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. Happy Monday. Welcome back from the weekend. I hope that you're doing well, and I hope you're starting the week off well as well. If you're joining us on the replay, a big hello to all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's always wonderful to have you. I really am grateful. Let's start with letting you know how the market closed. Now, the Dow closed down 54 points. Now, you probably saw I said the market's kind of moody because, in fact, it is. The NASDAQ's down 50 as well. S&P down 10 as well. You know, we were really hoping that this week would continue what we saw on Friday, which was really an uptick because previously last week, as you saw, the indices dropped tremendously and they sort of recovered a little bit at the end of the week. I was kind of hoping we'd get some good news today. But, I would say, at least it's not triple digit downs, right? So still not great news, but we're seeing continued weakness in technology. As you know, the Dow dropped 54 points here. NASDAQ, technology as well is really, really heavy. In fact, Apple and Netflix all down almost 1%, Microsoft down over 1% as well, and Tesla dropped more than 2% as well. And you probably hear a lot of news making its way. And mainly, here's one thing that I really want to share with all of you. You may have seen that recently there was a study done in terms of real estate and in terms of millennials. In fact, 2/3 of those surveyed, this was actually shared on CNBC, 2/3 or about 64% of millennials surveyed. Millennials make up individuals between the ages of 25 and 40, say that they have at least one major regret for purchasing their current home. This is according to a new study that was done by Bankrate. Over 1,400 U.S. homeowners were surveyed. So many people had regrets about purchasing their first home. A lot of people were either thinking, maintenance costs were much higher than they expected, utilities, location. There's so many different elements. So oftentimes I get asked, should I buy or should I rent? And that's a really good question. And I always suggest, before you jump to deciding to purchase, is to really live in that neighborhood, get to know your neighbors, get to know your community, your schools, your hospitals, the restaurants, the vibe of the city before you make that big financial decision. And so sure enough, that's what we're seeing. So interesting that the real estate market is continuing to doing so well. And we're seeing interest rates still obviously being at very, very record low levels. But will this trend change? Will people start to maybe pause before purchasing that new home? And will that impact the real estate market? We'll see. These are some questions I think those of us who are part of the financial markets always need to sort of challenge and think about. Now, you may have seen in other news as well as now that the COVID vaccine rollout continues to be doing well here in the United States, CDC has announced that, maybe when you go shopping or when you go to an indoor location, and definitely when you go to outdoor spaces, that you're maybe not necessary, you maybe don't need to wear a mask. So I'm curious to see, for those of you who are participating and watching, has this new CDC mask mandate changed the way that you've shopped? Do you find yourself continuing to shop as much as normal, or does it cause you to pause and think about whether or not you want to go into the location of a place where there's going to be others who are not wearing masks, and potentially a portion of those people who are not wearing a mask may not have been successfully vaccinated, and you just have to trust that they are. In fact, I was talking to some clients as well as others in the community, and they said, you know what, it makes me want to continue to wear my mask just for now, just to see how this unfolds. So I'm curious to see how you feel, because I will say one of the things that really popped into my mind was, what is the CDC sort of guideline? How is this going to impact when our kids go back to school in the fall, right? We do know now that thanks to the recent FDA approval, children in the ages of 12 and above now are applicable to get vaccinated against the pandemic, but those who are 12 and under still can't be vaccinated just yet. Nothing's been approved just yet. But what does that mean come September? If they're not vaccinated, will they need to continue to wear a mask, or will they be able to go back to school without wearing a mask? And so CDC recently updated their guidelines. They wanted to make sure parents, as we go through the last few weeks of school for our kids, that we sort of have a little bit of guideline and expectation before we go into the summer. And CDC is saying, yeah, as of right now, given that there isn't a direct vaccination mandate for schools, especially in the elementary school area, that they are saying that they continue to recommend that schools and childcare centers will adhere to the proven COVID-19 prevention methods, which then, include things like physical distancing, definitely wearing a mask, all that good stuff for the rest of the school year. Now, on other states, every state's sort of a little different. We heard about New Jersey. They're like, no, not too fast. We're going to keep that mask mandate on. Here in California, in fact, it was just announced today that those who are fully vaccinated against the pandemic now are able to go mask-free in most indoor settings, but not until June 15th. That's a few weeks away. They said that this is going to be the target date for reopening the state's economy, and they're saying, let's just hold off for right now. We want to see how this unfolds. Obviously, we're going into travel season. They want to hold us at least through the Memorial Day weekend. Now, in other news, let's talk about graduation season. This is a big deal. A lot of colleges are seeing kids have higher levels of student debt. Now, on top of that, going through the pandemic, we're also seeing the class of 2020 entering, believe it or not, one of the toughest labor markets in recent history. This is all over news. In fact, the class of 2021 graduates, research is showing that they're going to have a tough time finding work. According to the Labor Analysis, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, this has shown also by the Pew Research Center that 2020 college graduates are going to see a decrease in their labor force participation. And so this is going to be close to, they're saying, to graduates who are graduating during the Great Recession. So are they going to be able to find work? Well, they kind of have to, because we're also seeing record levels of student debt. Now, we do know that in 2008, college graduates typically owed about $24,000 in student loans, but in 2020, the number is actually closer to over $36,000, like $36,500 and more. So a lot more student debt, and yet are they going to be able to find work, especially since we're just getting out of a pandemic? And we do know, although there are a lot of companies and industries that continue to be looking to hire, that may not be in the direction that some of these new graduates are interested in. So here's some recommendations as you sort of navigate this. Earlier today, I was with my friend Mike Meeback on Fox Business, and we talked about this. How do you go through interviewing for a job virtually, whether it be Zoom or Skype? What are some best practices? So I thought I would share with you, because we talked a little bit about this on the show. The first thing I would say is, obviously, we want to put ourselves in the best light. Literally. So, think about lighting, think about making sure that your picture, shows up clearly when you do this virtually. And if you don't know this, if you don't have lighting, don't despair. You don't have to go out and buy expensive video lighting. What you can do is download a free app on your phone, like the Compass app, that tells you which direction you're facing. And then simply toggle your phone until you're facing north. And that's where you want your face facing. If the window in front of you helps you be able to face north and you have natural light, that's actually really ideal video lighting. The other thing you want to do is really prepare, right? You want to make sure that you're dressed as you would if you were going to an interview in person. So no different if you were going to wear a suit or a jacket or a collared shirt. You wanted to put the same amount of detail as you prepare for this virtual interview. The other thing I would recommend, and a lot of people forget this, is to make sure that your area is not cluttered. The last thing you want to do is, when you're doing this interview, that you see different things. Like I did a interview with someone once, and they had literally a half drunk bottle or a gallon thing of milk in the back of them, because it was their kitchen and it was open. It just didn't look very pulled together. It didn't look very organized. So think about the picture. What I would suggest is getting on Zoom or Skype, maybe 20 minutes ahead of time, put yourself in there, do a quick screenshot, take a look and really do a deep dive and see if you're happy with how it's looking, because it's acceptable and it's okay to put up a virtual background of a professional background or a blurred image if you're uncomfortable with your present setting. But make the effort to do that. Rehearse what you're going to say, practice, Pay attention to detail, pay attention to your setup. And if you don't have great audio, consider just plugging in headphones or earbuds, whatever it takes, so that way there's clarity. And so you put your best foot forward when you're entering for that next job. So thank you so much for submitting all these questions for us every week. And thank you so much for tuning in to this show and also watching me earlier today on Fox. I really appreciate it. And most importantly, I'm looking forward to seeing you this week again. We have a lot of special shows scheduled, a lot of new content coming in. And as a reminder, especially on Mondays, I want to remind you, if you have other financial questions, business questions, personal finance, or even social media questions, feel free to submit them. Send them to me via direct message, or you can just simply post them to me. We do answer your questions live on the show on Fridays. Our producers will go through, they'll select the questions, we'll answer them. It's so much fun. And I that's something that we're very excited to share with all of you. And it's a reminder, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. And if you ever want to see full episodes of Level Up with Winnie Sun, do catch us on NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, and Roku. With that, I can't wait to see you again tomorrow. Take care now.